Imagine you were the founder of a business that was generating 200 billion every single year. 200 billion in revenue, and a large part of that is profit, by the way. Your operational costs aren't very high, but your business strategy is one thing, is to make sure that people thought of an apple every single day. That's it. That's how you made money. Because if people thought of an apple, then that day you'll get paid. So if you were the founder of that business, let me ask you one thing. How would you make sure people thought about apples more often? Well, let me tell you what I would do. I would make sure that every time someone said they thought of an apple, I'd just give them a really, really good reward. It's classic conditioning. It's the oldest trick in the book, but it works because humans are just animals. Humans respond to things like classic conditioning because over time, that's just what we use to survive. Classic conditioning is fantastic because it means that we don't go to dangerous places, we don't do dangerous things, and we're careful when we're handling stuff that are dangerous. But what happens when things that are dangerous get painted as things that are rewarding? Would you really be able to tell? Now let's think about your everyday life. There are, when you wake up, I really like this kind of quote from Steve Jobs that says that there's noise and there's signaling within the day. And you either get on with all the things that you think is important, your to-do list, or you spend your time doing everything else. Everything else is just noise. It's just the clouds in the sky. But the thing that you really want to get going and get doing is the thing that shines through all of that. It's a signal. And the signal is the only thing that will take you to where you want to be in life. If you're a student, it's a large chance that signal is doing your work. It's sitting down and talking to friends, or it's working on something that you're passionate about, or doing a sport, or something that is healthy for your development. Because being a student is probably one of the most important times of your life. So what happens when the noise, every single day, the noise gets louder, it gets more attractive, and most importantly, it gets more rewarding? You might have figured out by now that it's a lecture about social media. It's a lecture about your phone, and what I'm trying to get across is something about doing your time. It's something about using your time the best way you can. But what I'm really trying to get to you is that if you just put yourself in the position that you don't normally put yourself, think as the CEO of that company just for a quick second. Think as Mark Zuckerberg, just for a quick second. If me and Mark Zuckerberg had a conversation, one where he couldn't lie, he would probably tell me that he does realize people spending 8 hours a day on Instagram isn't good for their health and well-being. There's a reason that the TikTok that Chinese companies give to Chinese people, it's limited to, I think, 40 minutes a day, to people under 14. There's a reason that TikTok supposedly has safety features for parents. It's because the companies, if you say they couldn't lie, they would tell the truth and say, yeah, if people spend 8 hours a day on this, it's not actually healthy for them at all, because they're not doing all the things that they should be doing to progress as a human being. So if you're a student and you're spending that much amount of time on these devices, on your Xbox, on Instagram, on TikTok, where do you think that is taking you? And if we take the next step of that, I think a very important second order effect is patience. When you have these companies that specialize in short-term delivery of, I don't know what they deliver, satisfaction, happiness, whatever they deliver that keeps you on their platforms essentially, but they specialize in delivering it in as short amount of time as possible. That's basically the whole point. Then what happens is you start to see everything else as boring. I've recently been having my phone on colorless mode. Let me show you. It's essentially when nothing has color. And what I realized after using my phone for a while, just, colorless, is that the world is such a bright one and the world is such a colorful one. But then every time on social media, you know when you see one of those like really color graded videos of nature, and in the comments it says, "Oh my God, my world is so grey. London has a grey filter on it, and all of this like I never see colors like this." Well, maybe it's because they see such colourful colours on their phone for 8 hours a day, they're not used to the colours of real life. You see all of the colours on your screen right now, but your screen is brighter than real life. Your screen is way brighter than what your eyes normally perceive real life to be, because there's not someone behind you holding a studio light on your everyday surroundings. So the colours don't bounce off as vividly. But every time someone records a really high quality TikTok video, they make sure to use good lighting. You've seen those TikTok shop ads. And so what does that do to your brain? What does that do to your eyes when you sit down to study and everything just looks, feels, and just is so bland? So I ask you one question. What did you expect otherwise? I used to expect that an 8-minute scrolling session would be just a normal break and it wouldn't affect how I do work at all. I used to expect to scroll for 5 hours and then just to be able to sit down and just concentrate on my work. I used to be able to expect that doing a shortcut within my work, using AI to do one part of my work, means that I'll just be fine for the other ones. I'm only using it for this part, I'm not going to use it for the rest of it. And maybe it's time, as students, but also as human beings, that we just start telling ourselves the truth a little bit more and stop pretending like things are happening, just are not really happening. But that's just my take. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Bye bye.